Hi, folks. You're with Tacitus today at your Pushback channel, and thank you for joining this radio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about it wasn't so much a meeting, more an executive lunch, I guess, but I was sitting across from the HR director for this particular firm, and the sort of the conversation started to get quite buzzy, and people were talking in all directions. But it came up about reference checking a job applicant and checking their background, and in quite a few cases now in Australia, at least, the background check can allegedly be, or they purport it's that they make it quite intensive. So there could be police checks and all sorts of stuff like that, medical history checks and the like, as well as reference checks. Now, typically, a reference check would be your last employer if you've been there, say, a few years. If you haven't been there that long, maybe the last two, but that would typically be it. But it came up about the difference between white applicants or white males. So if you're a straight white male, if you like, the burden of proof that you have to meet to say that you're a good employee, or you don't have anything dark or mysterious in the background is by very rigorous reference checking and getting police reports and special checks. Have you ever been charged with a crime or something like that? So now the rigor that this HR director, female, was white. I don't think she's a lesbian. The rigor that she was putting into checking white applicants, but only white males. That same rigor was not applied to any other group. So only white males are subject to this. Now, I suggested that if that same level of rigor was applied to all groups, all applicants, particularly given this outfit had a race and gender quota thing happening. If it was applied, this rigor of checking references and so on was applied to all applicants, then given that non-white applicants are far represented, or heavily overrepresented, if you like, in crime statistics and so on, there's a much greater likelihood that these checks would bring up something negative about the non-white applicants. And she immediately agreed. She didn't even argue the toss there. She said, yeah, agreed. But she said, well, that means that they're automatically being prejudiced against. So if she checks on their background, well, knowing that there is a likelihood of finding something negative, if she even goes down that path, then she is being racist. But by not going down that path, then she's showing her progressive, woke credentials. So, wait a minute, stop. Let me understand this. If you do an intensive check on a straight white guy, that's virtuous and good, because you might find something, even though the likelihood's quite small. But if you do the exact same, no difference, the exact same check on a non-white applicant, then you have a higher likelihood you're going to find something which would then disqualify them from the job. So you just don't bother checking. Why bother checking? And she sort of explains to me, it's hard enough making the gender and race quotas as it is. So if we do rigorous checks on these people, then we're going to knock out a quarter or a third or however many of these people based on some sort of criminal history or charges or been in trouble with the police or something like that. So we can't do that because that would be racist. That would be something that Hitler would do. Hitler. But if we do it to a straight white guy, then that's professional rigor. Professional rigor. Now, if the best candidate happens to be the straight white guy, which most of the time it is, they engage in and have no qualms about this, by the way. They engage in a withering and exhaustive background check. They'll call the guy's grandmother or something, that they will go back to college days if they have to. And this might be a guy who's like 40 years old. He's 20 years since he's in college. They might go back to the college days if they have to try and dig up something, anything that would disqualify the guy. And then they have to, by default, give it to a minority. So, and this double standard that the straight white guy has to meet an incredibly high standard of background examination, but no one else does, goes to show just how crazy. Now, you're talking, and she was pleasant enough to me. A bit of an attitude there, but it wasn't directed at me directly. But she's gone through college. She's still under 30. She's gone through college and high school, being told that all straight white males are fascists and Nazis and Hitler and all this sort of stuff. So she genuinely believes, she's not a bright lady, but she genuinely believes that she's doing good work. She is demonstrating the acuteness of her virtue by treating straight white men with the way they should be treated. They're evil. They are all Hitler, and if they have, and they just have, they don't deserve better treatment than this. Have you heard of slavery? Do you know all these guys did slavery? And Hitler was a white guy. Yeah, so it's a very simple thing, but that's what she's been taught and told. So she actually doesn't believe she's doing anything wrong. The idea of treating people equally, as an equal under the law type equally. But no, you silly man. Of course we wouldn't do that. We have to do things that create equal outcomes. And to do that, we have to treat non-whites and minorities very leniently, and we have to treat straight white males very harshly. And then in the middle somewhere, then the outcomes are more likely to be equal. And that's a good thing. Good thing. And you got a problem with that? You damn fascist Nazi Hitler. So this is sort of the thing. And you can look, sort of your jaw hits the ground and think, no, tell me this isn't happening. But it is, and it does. And I think it's quite widespread, perhaps not to that extent. And the extent will vary place to place. And maybe some people are not so keen to do it. But if just got to consider the attitude here, we'll call his last employer. No, nothing good. They spoke quite well of him, and he seemed to. Okay, well, we'll call the employer before that. No, he's comes up quite well. He's getting good reference. Call the employer before that. Hey, we went back to 5 jobs and 20 years ago. I found some guy who doesn't like him. Good. That disqualifies. It's that stupid and pathetic and childish. And really, if you had an HR director that's behaving that way, they should be fired or go through some retraining or something. But their only job, and bear in mind that the company has given her a gender and race quota to meet. So I mean, cut her some slack there. But her job is to hire the best qualified applicants and not do anything more, and not artificially load the dice to be directly against straight white men, which is what it is. And it's crazy as well, because the CEO of the company is a straight white guy. Why is he tolerating this? And why does he think it's virtuous to be doing that, doing what they're doing? It's just insane. Why would he hire an HR director that's so stridently anti-male, anti-white male? I don't get that. I mean, I wouldn't. So you've been with Tacitus today, your Pushback channel, and thank you for listening.